Okay, so it had some time to dry, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to take off the clamps and hope that it's all set to move on to the next step. So it had said in the next step, looks like it's not. There are still some areas that aren't all the way connecting. But what I want to put on is there's an area over here that I should have put on with this, and that would be section A3, because then B2, B3, and B4 are going to go on the inner parts, B2, B3, and B4. But we got to put this section over here, so why don't we go ahead, and we need to go ahead and trim this. And this is going to go right up in here. It's going to go like that. So we got to get it nice and straight. We got to line it up. Alright, so we get the pieces on the top, right over there. I don't know if you can see that, but in order, when you line them up, the spacing in the rivets on the top section are a little more spaced out. And you see how you gotta get it into the row? You gotta make them all match. Okay, so now we're gonna put the other ones on the insides. And we're gonna put B2, B3, and B4, and those are going to go B2, B3, and B4. They're going to go from left to right. We're also going to address the situation of the, we're going to put a little more glue to the ends because I guess it didn't catch. But what we need to do first is I'm going to put all of the surface pieces on the back. So I'm going to take these clamps off because there's a section, and hopefully you guys can see how that looks. There's a section that's going to go right here, and the first piece is going to be part B2. So let's go ahead and get this off, and then we'll file it down. That actually looks pretty good. Alright, so this section, again, you can see there's a cluster, well, I hope you can see. There's a cluster of rivets on the bottom part, and it's a little more spaced out at the top section. So this is going to go right here. See, hopefully you guys can see how it's going to line up with the other ones. So what I want to do, we're going to get this to fit. We want it nice and angled. So we're going to put in the glue. And let's see, maybe if we use the tweezers. we got to get it lined up just about a little bit more. There. So we angle it a little bit to match the curvature of the actual big piece without going too much. We don't want to actually break off any of the areas that we glued on. You can see this section right here, this section, and we have the slight curvature like that. We get that piece on, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the next piece in, and that would be, I believe it's B3. Yes, B3. So let's get B3 out. Let's see, that looks pretty good too. So when it comes to the, remember we got to match up the rivets. Let's see, let's go this way. Alright, we gotta match it, so we gotta bend it just a little bit the other direction. And see how we need to follow this area that the sections are going to be glued on. So we got to put this in following that. We're going to line those rivets up. And we got to line up the area where the rib is going to go. There. See the way the smooth section, we have to kind of follow it along where we can put the ribs on. All right, let's go ahead and I want to clamp this section. Put it to the side like that. And then we can clamp over here. All right, and now we're going to do this section over here. And let's see, I think that was B4, yes. Alright, let's see if we need to file this one down a little bit on the side over here. That looks good. And see how again we have that little smooth strip? So that little smooth strip is going to line up with the smooth strip between the ribs. So that way there we can glue it into place. So I'm going to go ahead and fit it first. See what I mean? We have that smooth line that's going to go all the way down. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and let me see if I can unclamp this section because it might be in the way. All right, hopefully you guys can see these sections. Let me get a little bit of that. A little bit of that off. And lastly, we're going to put the last section in over there. So we're going to glue it. And again, I want to line up. Let's make sure it's bent the right way. And we're going to make sure that we line it up correctly. So if we put this one on this way, hopefully that will be all set. You can see the metal, the plating, starting to look pretty cool. This would be the outside of the ship. And we got to put that slight curve in. Yeah. So what we're going to do now is, as you can see, there's areas on the corners that need to be addressed. So let's open these up a little bit. And we're going to put some glue. And we need to bring it down and close it into place. I'm going to get the extra glue off. So I'm going to clamp it with the tweezers because I don't want nothing getting stuck on there, because a little bit of the glue is kind of squirting out. So let's dab a little bit of this off. I'm going to squeeze that closed for a couple of seconds, because that looks to be it. The other sections came together nicely. You can see there's no openings, so I think we're going to fix this to make it look like one solid sheet of steel. Yeah, you can see that looks nice and closed now. All the way around, it looks good and connected. Okay. So you can see now we have that slight bend, just like the big piece actually does. We've got all the little plates on now, and you can see the smooth area where the ribs and the floor sections are going to go. And then we have the other side, and you can see where the portholes are going to go. And speaking of the portholes, we've got the portholes are right here. We've got the two smaller ones for the inner ones, and we have the two larger ones for the outer ones. Now, of course, the force of the ship breaking up totally popped out the porthole frames that were in these two portholes. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut out, let's do one of the larger ones first, just so we get a feel of what we need to do. And that's going to be B5. So let's do B5. These things like to jump and take off. So, I don't know if you guys can see these pieces right here. These are the little handles that you use to open up the window and lock them. So what we need to do is we need to fold them in half. I don't think we need the Photoetch tool for that. See how that looks? And let's see, the section with the round piece is going to go in first. So see how this has the kind of the section with the flat sides? That's going to go in between the ribs. It's going to go in like that. So let's give it a squeeze. And we got to take these little handles, and these actually have to be turned inward. So let me show you how I'm going to do it. We're going to use the tweezers, and man, that is small. And we're going to twist them inward. Just like that. And these are going to go on the inner part. So let me kind of put it in position. I'm not going to glue it yet because I want to show you guys how it's going to look. They're so tiny. We got to make sure we get them in between the ribs. Hopefully you guys can see that. All right. Let me see. I just want to make sure. See, a problem that I'm having, guys, is this didn't come with any instructions. I actually have to go and print them out, but my printer is acting up. I don't have a printer. So I have no way of seeing them, you know, so I'm trying to memorize them up on the computer and then come back and, okay, remember the parts. So bear with me. And yeah, these do not go on the outside. So we got to have the sides facing up and down. And I want to make sure that the frame is lined up. All right, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put some glue around the edge. Alright, we gotta wait for that to dry now. When it's dry, I'll be able to show you guys the little handles that are gonna lock the windows. Alright, let's do the next one now. So the next one will be one of the smaller ones. And that is B6. Man, and these are so small. And these have got to be bent the same way. So let me So I've just used my fingers to bend that, and hopefully you see that. I actually need my goggles because I got to get the right way. It's got a little mechanism on it, and I do believe that that's got to go on the inner part. There. I think I'm gonna, it's in position. I think I'm gonna put some glue on it. Just like that. Alright. And I'm hoping you guys can see that. So let that set. And we're gonna do the next small one. The other B3. Just to show you guys. Look at that. That is like really small. Alright, so I think I'm gonna close it using my fingers again. And I'm going to position it, and then I'm going to glue it. I want to make sure. All Alright, so those pieces around the here. Alright, I'm going to do the same thing. I put some glue, and of course it just went out of position. There. Alright. Hopefully you guys can see that now. Got a little bit of extra that I want to just kind of dab away now. Alright, so now we got one more to do. We're going to do the last one. Show you guys how small. Even the big one is pretty small. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and close it up. We're going to fold it in half, just like that. And what I need to do is we're going to gently bend the locks again. We're going to do it this way. They're going to be bent inward. So, man, I hope you can see that. Alright, let's put that in this section. And I'm going to put a tiny drop around the edge. And these little locking mechanisms have to go on the sides, so we're going to make sure we put them in. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see the portholes or not, but that looks pretty good. So we need to wait for all of this to dry again. I'm actually going to take you off the tripod and we'll take a look at what we've done so far. Alright, I'm going to zoom in. So hopefully you guys can see what we've done so far. We unclamped it, and we were able to put on more of the ribbing panels. The panels that have the rivets on it, and I don't want to disturb this, so let me see if I can kind of... We put on the plate on the other side as well, on the outside, and you can see the portholes. And then we put the plates on the inside. That would have been, I think, B2, B3, and B4. And you can see we had to line them up with the smooth sections where the ribs are going to go. And once we were done that, we actually put in the portholes. So that's done. And I got a few ideas on what we're going to do for the glass and the portholes. You can see how the super glue, that actually looks pretty cool. Where the super glue is actually making like the glass. I do have the Testors window maker, but the outer portholes are going to be too large, so I would have to do resin. I think one of them is broken, so it only has like a shard of glass in it. So we got to wait for this to dry. And in the next video, I'm going to have written down the instructions, and we're going to start doing the, I do believe we got to start folding the ribs. There were also sections that need to go in here that are riveted. So we're going to put those panels on, and then we're going to do we're going to start the ribbing. And there's a piece of flooring that'll come in at the end. So my friends, until my next video, thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.